What's up, folks? Welcome to Nino'sCorner.tv. I'm here with Victor Avila. Victor, man, thank you for joining me. Chingo Bling couldn't make it, folks. We had the time wrong. Well, he had the time wrong. Actually, it's probably my fault because I told him 2 p.m. and he thought Houston time. He's in Houston. That's 3 p.m. So it was a mess up. He's picking his kids up from school, but I'll do another podcast with him. We'll knock it out. Victor Avila, man, author of the book, Agent Under Fire, former ICE. I mean, nobody better to talk about what's going on right now than you. You were raised in El Paso, Texas. You've lived on the border. We both come from here. We both know what's going on. We both know the people. So I just want to talk to you about, get your perspective on what the hell's going on right now with the border, where we're at.
Yeah.
And we both know people, man. We both have friends and cousins and people we know that are against this, that are for it. Victor, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Nino. It was great to be with you. And yeah, there's a lot of information going on. Where do you want to start, man? We could start with deportations and how that's going.
So what did this mean? First of all, let me kick this off. First and foremost, Noble Gold Investments market update. This is quick, folks. Just stay with me for a second. Gold is up 46% in a year, doubling NASDAQ and S&P 500 gains. But this isn't just another rally, folks. Global reserves are shifting as investors rush to secure physical gold, creating a massive supply gap. Gold is vanishing from the market, but you still have a chance. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com today and turn that panic into profit. Make a qualified investment, and Noble Gold will give a free 10th ounce gold coin to your order. You're going to want to get on this. Things are happening rapidly. noblegoldinvestments.com. noblegoldinvestments.com, folks. All right, Victor, man. So I don't know. I've noticed less traffic. No, I'm noticing less traffic. I don't know if it's in my head or what, but I'm like, I'm in El Paso and I'm like, wow, the freeway is just not as congested. But I don't know if that's just in my mind or what's going on. But dude, this is a monumental, huge win for Trump. Correct? We'll call it the Immigration Act, because Wartime Immigration Act, because we can't say certain words on.
Right. And that was significant because the difference here is the type of individual that we're trying to get rid of this country, right? They are a terrorist. They're a known. They were designated as an FTO, a foreign terrorist organization. The Tren de Aragua from Venezuela. That's why this is so important. It's not like we're talking about just an illegal person that came into the country and was looking for work. We're not talking about that. We're talking about a person here that's been designated as a foreign terrorist organization, just like ISIS, just like the Taliban, just like any other terrorist organization. So I know that it's very frustrating, at least for me, to think that there's justices, there's people that are judges, and other people that are on their side to protect them. I mean, remember the judge that wanted to block this was wanting the person to be returned back to the United States. And I'm thinking, what do you mean returned? First of all, he was El Salvadorian national. This is a guy from Maryland, right? This was an MS-13, by the way. I don't want to confuse both of them. One was a Tren de Aragua with the act. The other one was an MS-13 sent to El Salvador, which is where he's from. And yesterday I was looking at it because I was listening to some mainstream media and reading some articles, and they kept on saying that he was lawfully present in the U.S. And I'm like, wait a minute, lawfully? I mean, he was good to go here. So of course, the first thing I do is I check. No, he had a work permit. And having a work permit is very different than being a resident.
So are we also deporting them work permits as well?
Right. The work permit alone does not give you a status per se. It's very minimal that the Biden administration gave a lot of these work permits, and there's a lot of talking about millions of people walking around with this work permit because they came in under the CBP-1 app, which, by the way, is no longer valid. And this happened this morning. If you came in under the CBP-1 app, you have absolutely no status. And I said this, I said this a lot. And
Well, hold on. Let me ask you this: Did you come in with that, and they're just staying? Are you only allowed to come here and work and leave for the day? Like, how does that work?
No, they're staying here to live.
No, I understand that, but I mean, what's to get that qualification to come here on a work permit? What are the rules with that? Like, you come to work and you have a certain time to work here and leave during the day or the week, or how does that work?
Well, legally, the way it's supposed to be, the work permit is usually attached to some kind of status, not the other way around. The way the Biden administration allowed all these people to come in illegally, by the way, the CBP-1 app, I want people to know, was illegally created. The parole, a lot of people were paroled in and given a parole. Yes, the CBP-1 app was invented. The parole program that existed, I used to issue a lot of paroles. I had the authority as a special agent to issue those. You cannot just issue them to people coming into the country because they want to come in. And that's what the Biden administration did. So now the Trump administration is saying everybody that came in with a parole and everybody that came in through the CBP-1 app is invalid. You have nothing. You have no.
What does that do for the people that have those permits or those work permits? Do they
no longer valid?
Whoa! So do they have to go back to Mexico?
I have to go back to
no way.
China, Africa, Mexico, Central America, wherever your country of origin.
So hold on,
no status whatsoever.
Even if they're here just working. I mean, okay, so I don't understand this. They're obviously
they were given that first. So it's supposed to be the other way around. I apply, somebody sponsors me. There's a petition for me. Once I get in and it's starting to approve, mostly the U.S. government will say, okay, well, this person is in the U.S. They're going through the legal process. Let's give them a work permit so they could have the ability to work, so they could sustain themselves. The way it happened was the other way around. Hey, we'll give you a work permit to come into the U.S. That's not the way it works. It has to be attached to a status. And these people had no status. There was nobody petitioning for them. There's nobody asking for them to be. There was the sponsors, they didn't really have the sponsors. It was the federal government just saying, come on in. And they were the ones giving them the work permits, the health care, the money, the rent-free apartments and hotels. And so it was all illegal. And now the Trump administration just realized that this is all illegal. And so these people, and I'm going to say this very clearly, to no fault of their own, a lot of them, because if I'm in Guatemala and I know that the U.S. is giving out free passes to come into the U.S., hey, I'm coming, right?
Of course.
Well, now guess what? Now they're stuck here for now, and what the Trump administration is telling them, listen, you better leave on your own. Just leave right now. You have absolutely no status.
How do they leave? They get flown out?
They gather their stuff and they go get back on the plane and leave.
Are they given free airlines to do this on our tax dollars? I mean, are we flying them out?
Right now, they're not. Right now, they haven't started. I have heard that there might be programs and to allow them to at least pay for their flight to go back. What I have heard is, remember you and I talking about all these people that were getting on airplanes without any ID? Well, guess what? They still don't have an ID, and now they don't have an ID to go back. But the Trump administration said, all right, we're going to give you that one time that whatever paperwork they gave you, they're going to use as an ID, just like they did to come in illegally. We're going to allow you to use that paperwork to get on an airplane and go back home. Because if you don't, they're going to start assessing a fine of a daily fine of almost $1,000 a day to the illegal person. So if you don't leave, we're gonna assess $1,000 fine, which
but
a lot of people
they can't pay it. I mean, so how do they work it off?
Now, now you only don't have to worry about being deported. Now you have to worry about owing this money as well. So that the Trump administration is saying, listen, you want to do it the right way? Go register with DHS. Use the new app that took place over the CBP-1 app. You register, you depart. And now you can start the process to come back legally. And those people that do it are going to get preference of coming back into the U.S. They're going to look at them and they're going to say, okay, you're not a gang member. You don't have any other criminal history. You're a good person. We're going to vet you. And now let's start the process. But that's only if they leave on their own accord. not if ICE has to go find you or encounters you because they're looking for the other guy, and you're illegal as well, and you're standing with your cousin who's an aggravated felon, and you're gonna go too. So
how many of these people are leaving? Do we know? Are we tracking this? Is it in the minimum? None. In the
no, there are people, and I am hearing that there are being a lot of there's a lot of self deports happening. They're not giving out the numbers. I haven't heard the numbers, but there are individuals saying, you know what, I'm not going to win this. I'm not going to win this and fight it out. Some people are saying, no, I'm going to fight it out, and I'm going to fight it till the end. Some people are saying, no, I might as well just leave now. As a matter of fact, the ones that came in that had a little bit of money, they sold their houses, they sold their businesses, they were okay. They're actually worse off here in the U.S. Now they're unemployed, they can't pay their rent, they're having a hard time. Those are the ones that I think are going to say, you know what, let's just go back. Let me go back to Colombia, let's regroup, and maybe I will come back or not. Maybe I will apply or not. But for the meantime, they have to go, because if not, at one point, they're going to be looked at and they're going to be picked up by ICE officials.
You know, here in El Paso, there was families, dude, on the corners, Venezuela. You know, you could tell they just weren't from anywhere in this region, and they were holding signs up. And they had kids with them and stuff. They're gone, bro. They're all good. Now I'm watching this and I'm going, wow, they're all gone. You remember the El Paso airport, how bad that was? Remember that? Like
a bunch of video of them. It's
just sleeping in sleeping bags or their plastic bags, just laying around the airport. There was an information booth they all go to, and there was people helping them find their bus or their plane ticket or whatever. I mean, it was just unbelievable what was happening here. And I witnessed it.
There's less traffic because, dude,
I'm telling you, something's going on. So everyone at the a work permit, they're not allowed to come in anymore.
It depends how they receive the work permit. If it came with a CBP-1 app, no good, invalid. If it came with a parole, invalid. Those two ways, it's no good because it got issued illegally. It's like if I conducted an illegal search warrant, everything that I got from that search warrant would be illegal and not presented. I couldn't present it in court. The same thing here. They issued all these documents illegally, and so therefore they have absolutely no standing and no legality behind them. And now they're faced with nothing. They're walking around. They think, a lot of these people think, well, I'm walking around with a permit. No, you're not. You have absolutely no status. And if an immigration official, or if you're in a non-sanctuary city and it's a police officer or sheriff or DPS trooper, and at least in Texas, if a DPS trooper encounters you, they will detain you now. Right now, they have.
So let's say they're all going to the sanctuary cities. What happens then?
Well, that's the problem. Look at Denver. Denver's out of control. Denver.
They're all going there.
Denver's a big one. Chicago, obviously. In the northwest part of the country, there's a lot of sanctuary places. There's sanctuaries here in Houston. Go to Harris County. That's a sanctuary state.
So how do we crack down on that? How are they getting away with this, especially now that, you know, cartels are terrorist organizations? How is Trump cracking down on that?
That's the part that's developing a little bit slower, because several things. One, if you are interacting, giving, taking, selling, whatever it is that you're doing with a cartel member in Houston, in Dallas, in North Carolina, it doesn't matter where, you are now interacting with a terrorist organization. Just like if you were emailing somebody from ISIS and they're trying to convert you, it's the same thing. But if you're financing them by buying pills or drugs or anything, you are now going to be looked at as an accessory to a terrorist organization. That is obviously developing slowly, but you're going to hear me out. It's going to happen. People are going to start getting picked up in Chicago. If you're a gang member or you're somebody dealing drugs for the Sinaloa cartel or Cartel Jalisco New Generation, they're going to end up picking you up under the new terms of the terrorist organization. It has nothing to do anymore with the due process. You know, we're hearing this due process. Oh, they're not giving them due process
anymore.
When you're a terrorist, it's not the same due process. You don't go in front of a magistrate judge and you want to plead guilty. No, you're a terrorist. They're going to take you to Guantanamo Bay, or they're going to take you to El Salvador, who they have graciously.
So even a kid, let's say, a drug addict buying drugs from a cartel member, they're going to be labeled as a terrorist as well.
That not quite. And here's the separation. The user, right? And he buys from the dealer. It's the dealer they're going to go after. It's the dealer that's buying the drugs directly from the cartel. And the cartel, it doesn't matter if it's the main head of the cartel through 50 people, and that dealer, that street dealer that you buy the fake pills from, that's the dealer, not necessarily the user. I don't think they want to go after the user. What they're trying to do, and Trump is going to implement a big education program, which we desperately need in the U.S. regarding fentanyl at the K4 through 12 level of every public school. I'm working with an organization called Sold Out Youth Foundation, who has a great education program. We have to tell the kids at the school, man, listen, do not buy pills. If you buy marijuana at this point, it might even be laced. Cocaine right now, cocaine is a huge problem right now. Nobody's talking about it because everybody kind of is focused on fentanyl. And it's okay. It's okay to be focused on fentanyl because how deadly it is. But at the same time, the cartels know that the heat is on fentanyl. So they're backing off a little bit on fentanyl. But you know what's coming in like crazy is meth and cocaine. And I've got so much intel. I'll share a little bit of one that I got that I could tell you a little bit about. But they're using U.S. planes, United States planes, private aircraft coming from South America and Central America full of cocaine into Mexico. And then, of course, from there it gets smuggled. Now, right now, it's really hard to smuggle drugs and really hard to smuggle human beings because the border is a lot more secure than it's ever been. But don't kid yourself. There's still stuff coming in. It's still coming in. There's still these gaps. We need walls. We need a lot of other stuff that has to happen. We need Mexico to step up. And now that the tariffs actually went into effect today, the 25%, I see Mexico doing a lot more.
Hold on, but I thought we weren't doing the tariffs on Mexico.
Well, today, the ones that just went into place are the blanketed across the world.
Right. But there's no additional tariffs on Mexico, right? We're sparing them in what there's certain products that we're sparing them on, correct?
Correct. They still implemented 25% because of the deficit that we have with all these countries. Mexico is a number one. If you look at the charts they've been putting in the news today, Mexico is a number one in deficit of like $170 billion that they owe us. And Trump is saying, listen, enough is enough. The whole world owes us trillions of dollars. We would be able to wipe our budget deficit immediately. I think we're at what, 4 or 5 trillion. And I'm telling you, he's going to do it. He's going to do it with all this money coming in with tariffs that people have not, or countries have not paid in a long time.
So, Alex, go ahead and let in Chingo. I see Chingo's in the back. He's surprised us. He actually showed up. Chingo, what's up, my man?
Hey, I'm going to learn about the difference between El Paso time and Houston time.
Hey, well, I'm happy you jumped on, man. We're just all going to just spitball it here with my audience and with Victor. Victor's a former ICE agent, so he's basically giving us the details behind of what's happening in the minutia, how it's all working together. Victor, I also wanted to ask you, so let's say a cop pulls over, like, are they going, there was an apartment complex here in El Paso, right? And I got a call from somebody like, Dave, you got to get down here. Military's here and the cops. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, that's weird. I wonder if it has to do with deportations or something. What would that be? Is that what it's looking like? Are they going door to door right now when they get leads and busting in and taking down people with the military?
Yes and no. So let me break it down. With the military, yes. The National Guard has always been there, even when I worked there. And when I was in El Paso, we had a National Guardsman assigned to our group, and they're intel analysts, and they help us with a lot of stuff. That's not new to me. The difference here is two things. One, there's 300 plus National Guardsmen in El Paso that have been deputized as immigration officials. That's the huge difference, meaning that they're just like an ICE agent. Now, they have an ICE agent with them, right? Or an HSI special agent with them. But now they have the authority to detect and detain somebody and hold them for either Border Patrol or an ICE official if they see them. Or if they go out in a raid, they now have the authority to grab, put hands on. That's one difference. The second one is you have active duty military. I'm talking about Marines and at the border. And this is something that I have never seen. Now, this is the game changer because they're doing what I understand, and my sources telling me is they're gathering a bunch of intel, man. They're gathering intel not just at the border. They're gathering intel within our border, at the border, and abroad in Mexico and Central America. You know, now we all know the drones are flying over. We're flying aircraft over Mexican airspace with Mexico's permission, by the way. And we're grabbing intel. But we're grabbing
hold on. Time out. Because this is what's blowing my mind, Victor. How the hell cartels run Mexico? How are they cooperating with America right now? This makes no sense to me.
No, dude. Let me tell you what's going on. Let me tell you, that's a great question, man. Let me tell you what's going on. So 𝗬𝗂𝗂 𝗰𝗶𝗹, the president of Mexico, she's in a tight position right now. If you see, I follow her. I watch the ridiculous morning news press conferences that she has every morning. They're hard to watch, but I watch them because of the ridiculous things that they say. She's saying one thing to her audience, to her public, to her citizens, and doing something different in the background. And some stuff she's doing publicly. And she's trying to balance between La Morena, her party, which is an extremist, socialist, communist party, and Donald Trump. And she doesn't know what to do other than to try to fight with both. And you know that doesn't work.
Make it to the end of the year.
You can't play both sides, man. You can't. She's trying on the fence, trying to be both. I'll tell you what is happening. I'll tell you how it is. They have been taken down and arresting people in Mexico like I've never seen ever, not even in my career.
Whoa.
They're arresting big capos. They had a seizure of 21 tons, I believe, or I don't know, a bunch of tons of meth the other day, liquid meth. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? They're taking down fentanyl. They're arresting people, and all good things are happening. But I want people to say it's not enough. It's not enough. You know, they send over the 29 narcos that were in jail, including 𝗀𝗃𝗃 and all the others. You know, was in there 𝗬𝗃𝗃𝗃 𝗀𝗃𝗃.
Really? The Fuentes family.
Nobody talked about him. He was one of the 29. He's 𝗬𝗏 𝗃𝗃𝗃 brother. 𝗬𝗃𝗃𝗃 was
big
one
here in Juarez.
Yes, that was the 𝗃𝗃𝗃 cartel. Remember?
Yeah, but
I might have been over there. Nobody knows. Nobody remembers. But it doesn't matter. We'll talk about that some other day about the Juarez times. But I don't know if you've ever been to Juarez, but it was some different times back then. It was like more control because the Juarez cartel had all that control. But anyway,
I remember that very well.
Oh, here's the issue, and you're not going to hear anybody tell you this. There's a big problem going on with the Sinaloa cartel. You got the Chapitos versus the Mayos, the Mayitos, the Chapos and the Mayos, which they're split, man. They become
the leaders both got arrested right here in Santa Teresa Airport.
Correct. So Mayo 𝗃𝗏𝗯𝗃, Chapo's been in prison for a while, and then his sons took over. And Mayo 𝗃𝗏𝗃 is the one that's run the Sinaloa cartel since day one. It's just that Chapo was always the figurehead. He was the the CEO, but the one that ran it was Mayo 𝗃𝗏𝗃. Mayo 𝗃𝗏𝗃 is happening something. He's saying something. He's talking because all of a sudden the Chapitos are the ones that are getting hit very hard in Mexico, but not the Mayo people. That's kind of weird.
At all.
And the other one that's getting hit very hard is Cartel Jalisco New Generation. Did you see the discovery of the extermination camp, the human extermination camp?
Yes.
The lady that found it was just found dead day before yesterday. The lady that discovered it,
She went public with it, right?
Yes.
Big mistake.
She's dead. This is insane, but it's very strategic as to who's being taken down and who's not. You got to pay attention to that in Mexico. And so going back to 𝗬𝗃𝗃𝗃 𝗰𝗏, she's trying to appease everybody, bro. And you know how it is. When you start playing that game of I want everybody to like me, it's not going to work, man. It's not going to work. And she put a video out that I saw, I think yesterday, inviting all the Mexican nationals, all the illegals that live in the U.S., come, and I'm going to embrace you with a hug. Can I say bad words on this thing?
Yeah, go for it.
Fucking nuts, bro. That's what she is. I'm sorry, but it's because it upsets me because they brainwash the Mexican citizens are the ones, I could tell you, are the number one people that are done with this. They're tired of being extorted, man. The drugs, the violence. Just the other day in Culiacan right now is a war zone. Heads are being displayed on sidewalks, man. Body parts are
That's
being
been happening forever. I mean, that's nothing new.
And right now, it's even at a different level. I mean, just out.
So the violence has picked up in Mexico. It's uptick.
Oh yeah.
See, I was looking for this because I always thought that would be the indicator before it started coming here.
My problem and my worry is this: the cartels are not going to give up. They're not going to say, "Oh, Trump is president. It's over for us." No, as a matter of fact, they're pissed because it's digging into their money, and their money means their power, and so they're going to have a reaction, man. I'm telling you,
warfare is going to hit America.
You're going to have a reaction. So I'll say it a couple of ways. You have to, and careful. I'm going to be careful how I say it. You have to respect the cartels and understand them in order to take them out. You can't just say, they're no match for our military. I know everybody knows they're no match for our military.
They don't play by the rules.
It doesn't mean they can kill people.
But hold on. Let me just say this. That's why it's cartel warfare. They don't care if they kill innocent civilians.
Right.
And let me get Chingo to chime in here for a second. Chingo, I know that, first of all, folks, Chingo Bling is going to be in El Paso. When are you going to be in El Paso doing your stand-up?
April 24th through the 26th.
So you are like, I've watched a lot of your stuff for the last decade, dude. You're hilarious.
Thank you.
You've done some great stand-up, and I now consider you a friend, bro. You came down to El Paso. We tried to do a podcast, but some stuff happened. But anyway, I would like to say, it's going to be exciting to see you come down here and perform. But from your perspective, how are you suffering from this? Because I'm telling you, I've come across a lot of Hispanics or Chicanos that are not with this at all. They're pissed off. They don't like Trump. How is that affecting you, being a Mexican American or a Chicano comedian? That's your whole act. I mean, how is this affecting you? You are a Trump supporter, right?
Yeah. And I like how Victor said 𝗬𝗂𝗂 is trying to play this game where she wants everybody to like her. Well, I'm wise enough to know that that's not a thing. Hey, I just don't want people to, I'm not super, super vocal and all in people's face, trying to defend every single thing Trump does or Elon does. But I really like that I don't get confused for a 𝗬𝗲𝗏 for Harris or a Kamala supporter or a Biden supporter. Right. But it's really funny. I left a comment. Someone posted 𝗬𝗂𝗂𝗃𝗏's a clip where she's like, México es un pueblo que con los brazos y aquí está su presidente. Basically saying all the Mexicans that are protesting come. I put, and it's not original, but this is what came to mind. Everybody yells "Viva Mexico," but don't nobody want to viva in Mexico.
It's so true, man. That's so true, brother.
It's true.
No,
and I was gonna ask you, but how are you? Are you suffering at all with your are people buying less tickets? Are you getting backlash? Are you they supporting you?
I think the backlash was real bad when the whole oh my God, Chingo Bling, wants to deport some people. This was in 2020 where I kind of started seeing certain things and understanding the media and how they tend to leave things out, or they always put their spin, and you start to pick up on oh, there's a lot of propaganda happening. Yeah. So it was really bad then. Now not so bad, and I mean, stand-up comedy is volatile. So it's, if there's ups and downs, ebbs and flows, it's hard to blame it on one particular thing. But yeah, I wanted to mention, speaking of, you guys just mentioned that the people in Mexico are, firsthand being terrorized by these terrorist groups. And I've heard some stories. I mean, this one lady in particular that I know, her whole family, they literally had to flee from where they're from, near Monterrey, northern Mexico, where just the little thugs, the local little narquios, they were just extorting people. She had a couple businesses, and it'd be hey, you got to pay a tax on this, and we're going to shut you down. It got to the point to where even the cops they'd come in plain clothes, and it was them like, all right, we're taking merchandise, and lady, you're gonna be dead. And she's just like, holy crap, like the actual police, who do you call, basically? And that's when they chose. Yeah.
Well, that's also like, let's think about this for a second. So the federales, I mean, the cartels are them, right? So what about the military? The military is here patrolling as well on the border. That's them. They're like guarding. It's like the bank robbers guarding the bank, right, Victor?
If you remember, before I forget, let me tell you about the National Guard, the Mexican National Guard. They're very, very corruptible. These guys picked up 𝗬𝗶𝗶𝗹. One of Chapo's, the other one, I forget, or Iván. I think it was Iván. I forget that. I could get the names confused. But the National Guard picked them up, man, and arrested them. And they requested $10 million from the Sinaloa cartel. And the Sinaloa cartel paid the $10 million, and then they still gave them up. So these guys are the worst of the worst, the dirty, man. And a lot of the regular military guys, the army as well. It's very, very hard. Now, doesn't mean that they're all corrupt, and I want to make that clear. There's good police officers out there and good, but they're the minority that are swamped over by the corruption. But one of the things that I want to say, what Chingo said right now about these kids, at the neighborhoods, you know what? I just got this information like a week ago. So the cartel 𝗷𝗃𝗃 new generation right now is, they're recruiting a lot of young folks. I'm talking about 13, 14, 15-year-olds, man. They're training them with weapons. But you know how they're paying them? I was asking my contact, usually these sicarios were making like $100 or $200 a week, bro, to kill people. And he's like, no, they're not paying them. They're giving them neighborhoods. So they go, the cartel 𝗷𝗃𝗃, who controls these, large areas of states and stuff, they go and say, okay, this is now your territory. You, Victor Avila, are now in charge here. Everybody in that village or that town know that I have the backing of the cartel. And what's the first thing the 15, 16-year-old does? The girls start extorting everybody and creating havoc, bro. That's how this is.
16-year-old. A 16-year-old child.
I've heard up to down to 12-year-olds, and they know, and they're carrying around their AK. I mean, the citizens have no chance against these kids. They're not kids. One of the problems here that we talk about the unaccompanied minor. And I say this all the time. They hear the term unaccompanied minor, and people they usually think good stuff first, and they think, well, it's a 6-year-old. No, I think it's a killer 16, 17-year-old, because I dealt with those in my career. A 17-year-old to me is a man. And
who do we send off to war? They're the most impressionable at that age, and they want to be wanted. So they'll do anything, dude, to be in a gang or please the cartels. They'll do anything. They're the most dangerous, man, or the 14, even 13 or 12-year-olds, bro. 12-year-olds.
Well, it's the culture, right? And we could get more into that, but it's the uncle is a cartel member, the brother's a cartel member, the dad is a cartel member, the grandpa was a cartel member. Hey, it's a culture. So I want to be like them. I want to have the jewelry, the music. You heard about this concert from one of these groups, these narco groups, that in Sinaloa, they cartel them, you're not going to play in Mazatlan. Don't you dare come in here. We're going to kill everybody. Like, can you imagine telling Taylor Swift, you can't come to Houston because then they're going to kill you and your crew? It's ridiculous, right? Well, why is that allowed in Mexico?
So let me ask you this. So I remember in Juarez when the cartel wars really kicked off. Remember, it was a ghost town.
Yeah.
He was killing sometimes 100 people a day. Remember that?
I was working in Juarez.
Okay, so wow.
Bro,
wow.
They were killing 350 people a month. This was 350 people a month.
But some days, I remember they sprayed up like 100 people, right, in one day.
No, I went into, and I'll tell you a quick story. I was working at the brand new consulate. We actually had inaugurated the brand new consulate that's there. And we went to lunch to a restaurant there. And this is the time where 7 o'clock came and there was nobody in the street. It was the police, the cartel, and us for some reason. I don't know what the hell we were doing on the street there. But I went to lunch. We went to lunch, a group of us. And the next day we come back and they killed 6 people that day at that restaurant. They shot them up. And I'm thinking, damn, the death was around us, man. I saw the bodies hanging from the bridges, bro. I saw them hanging, and the backhoe digging up the narco graves of hundreds and hundreds of bodies because they had to put them somewhere. That's what they were doing in this extermination camp. They were incinerating the bodies, bro. I mean, this is nuts. This is like a little mini Holocaust if you think about it. And you saw all the pair of shoes, like 400 pair of shoes, and then at least the government of Mexico has the audacity to look us in the face and say, "Oh no, it was a training camp. They killed a few people, just a few people, not 400. You guys are like, this is how they downplay it in Mexico, and it's very dangerous."
So, do you believe that this is going to come to America? I mean, I know our military is there at the border. I went down there to try to shoot and just get some footage on my Instagram, and the military stopped me immediately. So they're on top of it. Well, it took them about 3 or 4 minutes, but they got to me pretty fast, which I was very surprised. Do you believe the bloodshed's going to spread to here? Do you think that America they're going to start saying, you know what, we're not going to win this. We're going to go out fighting or make it as ugly as possible for Trump and just put mud on his face?
Yes, I think it's already here, and because a lot of crimes are committed that are related to the cartel, but they never report it as such. They never, the Lake and Rileys of these illegals. Okay, those are big news, and rightly so. Then we need that attention. But there's many other crimes that happen here on a daily basis that are related to the cartel, but they'll say, "Oh, it was gang related. Oh, it was drug related." Well, no, it was actually cartel related. I tell you, the Dallas-Fort Worth area, there's a bunch of them. But here's my fear, is that these guys who are here in the United States, these cartel members all over the U.S., man, they're in Bozeman, Montana, they're in places that you never think. My fear is that they're going to retaliate against a U.S. law enforcement police officer or a citizen just because of Trump, just because they're going to say, "Oh yeah, you're in a war? Well, here you go." And that's my fear, because I go and talk to these police officers and sheriff's deputies in North Carolina and Savannah, Georgia, and all over the country. And well, they're very localized, right? They have their problems, their local problems. They know where the drug, they know it. And when we go out there and train them, and it's actually, believe it or not, sometimes they have a hard time connecting the origins of why you have that dead body in front of you. Damn. And sometimes they're like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, what do you think the cartel member looks like?" And they all think, "Well, he's got the cowboy hat with the pointy boots." I said, "No, bro, even I fell into that trap early in my career. I told you stories, about this. These people look like anybody. They're lawyers, they're CPAs, they're teachers, they work at the courthouse. This is the dangerous part. They got people everywhere
They're
working.
not just these thugs. They're all
they got their enforcers, of course. But they got a lot of people in the financiers of the organizations.
Chingo, what are you seeing in Houston? Have you noticed a shift in like people there? Because I'm noticing a shift here in El Paso. I have friends that aren't showing up to work. They own businesses. They're like, "Dude, I've lost everybody. Nobody's coming to work. They're scared to go to work." What are you seeing in Houston? Are you noticing anything in Houston?
Well, Houston's such a big city that it's hard to kind of like really like pay attention to ebbs and flows. But some of my musician buddies, they told me that a lot of people are like self-deporting just to not ruin their chances, like to actually get processed the right way. And one of my musician buddies, he's like, "Yeah, man, I gig with this guy. We did a bunch of gigs, and next thing you know, I hit him up about another gig, and he's like, 'No, estoy en Mexico, güey.'" And he's like,
"Oh man,"
he's like, "Oh, you're in Mexico?" He's like, "Yeah, we decided to like not risk it," type of thing.
Because if you get caught, you're not ever coming back.
Yeah. I mean, especially if is it Kristi Noem and Tom Homan? They're talking. They're talking big business, like she had the ad, Kristi Noem, where she's like, "I'm right here, Sircot. Look at all these MS-13 behind me." So,
well, I think is there like a hotline or something like that people call to turn these people in? I mean, where are they getting their leads?
There's a DHS hotline that has been going nuts. It wasn't run very well years ago. That DHS hotline has always been there. Now it's now people, and you can imagine, you get all the calls, "Hey, mi primo trabaja en Whataburger, es ilegal," and they hang up, stuff like that, stupid like that. But then you do get good leads, especially the ones that there's so many bad ones that they call it. They have packets on, right? They call them. We got packets on these people that they're prior deports. That means they came in, they were caught for a crime, they did their crime, they were deported. Now they're back and they're walking around the streets. There's a bunch of those. You got the ones that already saw a judge immigration judge, and the judge says you're deported, and they never left. That's another million there. And then you have the gotaways, and there's a bunch of gotaways, and so that alone is a lot of people. You're talking about several million there that they could focus on. That I think that's really what they want to focus on. But like I told you earlier, if they go after that target and that they have a packet on this individual, and he's happened to standing with 5 other illegals that are just illegal, well, they're going to do.
So let me ask you this. So like, how do they get a lead? And then let's say there has to be a fine line to where where they can be infringing on American citizens' rights. Like if a guy came up to me and said, let me see your papers, I'd be like, fuck yourself. You know what I mean? Like I'd be pissed off. How do they identify these people, and where's that fine line?
I'm going to piss you off a little bit.
On someone's rights.
I'm going to piss you off a little bit because I like this, because as an HSI special agent, I could go question whoever I want. I could question you. I could question a U.S. citizen. I could question an illegal alien. Something people think a police officer could go and talk to whoever the hell he wants. There's nothing against the law to talk and question anybody. And this is a big misconception, you know. If you, like you just said, I asked you for some other reason, maybe your best buddies are all illegal and you're only U.S. citizen, and we hit the house. Well, I gotta create what they call it. I gotta determine that word. Well, I am gonna ask you. I'm gonna question you. Of course, you're a U.S. citizen, and there's a lot of questions that you could, and the way you pose the questions has to determine that. We don't have to go and get your passport to do that. A lot of people, but you do have to answer me. People think, I'm not going to answer you. Fuck you. I'm a U.S. citizen.
But I mean, are we going to see checkpoints and stuff like that? I mean, is that
right? Well, the same thing, exactly. The same thing at the checkpoint. The same thing when you're a U.S. citizen coming out from outside the country. I just got back from out of the country, and I had to show and prove that I was a U.S. citizen. They don't care that I am. I have to prove it.
But Victor, hold on. But this sounds to me like this could turn into a police state. Like a problem, reaction, solution thing, where if there's checkpoints and I'm waiting and I'm like, dude, I just want to go to Walmart, and I'm like in a checkpoint to show my documentation. I mean, that's just where it gets weird to me.
I don't think we're going to get to checkpoints. I really don't think we're going to get to that point because you asked about the intel. There's a lot of intel. There's a lot of now the intel community DoD resources are coming in, and so that, you saw DNI down there with 𝗬𝗏𝗄𝗏 𝗏𝗏 at the border. They're sharing the information, man. And they're looking at IRS, by the way. And people are like, oh, now why are they picking on the IRS? Let me tell you why. Because there's a lot of fraud. There's a lot of identity fraud, man. You know how many illegals come into this country, take your social security number, and are working in Nebraska? And it happened. I have a twin sister. Her identity was stolen she was in law school. She's a lawyer. And she was in law school for 3 years. When she came out and, she started buying a house, all this stuff came up on her credit. Oh, you bought a house in Arizona. And they're like, what the heck? It got so bad that the Social Security Administration issued her a brand new Social Security number. You know how hard that is? But she was a victim of this. A lot of people, birth certificates, death certificates, driver's license, Social Security cards. I worked this fraud. There's a lot of fraud. And they will file taxes, believe it or not. They will file it under that false name of that person that's dead or whatever. And so the IRS now cooperating, sharing those names, it's going to be big.
Chingo, have you had to tailor your act at all, or has your shit just gotten funnier? like seriously, because it's a very sensitive time right now, bro. And like, you are a comedian for the Hispanic people in the United States mainly, right? I mean, do you travel outside the states to do acts, or like, have you had to tailor your act for America? Like, if you had to change things up?
Yeah, I even went overseas to perform at a bunch of military bases like Qatar, Saudi Arabia, where I knew I wasn't, from UAE, all these countries. So like, I knew to be on my best behavior, and I couldn't even imagine just saying, oh, I kind of like Dubai. I think I'm going to just stay for as long as I can and chance it. And I don't know if you guys saw this, but DOJ found that millions of illegals were given social security numbers over the last 4 years, with 1.3 million receiving Medicaid. Millions of others received driver's licenses, registered to vote, and may have already voted.
Jeez.
But in terms of my act, dude, I've got all kind of stuff. And honestly, people, like the funniest stuff that hits the hardest is when you're like riding that fine line and you know, and you just hit them with these lines of like, that's when I realized Mexico got wetbacks too, you know, like and like I was out there performing for the troops and you hit them with that when they're just like, because the higher ups, you know, the generals and the sergeants, all the higher ups, they're used to you know, things have, you know, it's very serious type of business. But us comedians, we got to go in to help with the morale and to perform. So we had the permission, we had the license to like say crazy stuff that sometimes people think, and that's what made us effective. You know, we were able to break the ice.
Yeah, it's to me, it's like shining a. To me, you're holding a mirror to society with your comedy. That's what you're doing. It's like the reflection of society, and everyone can laugh for it, man. It's like, you know, what I'm seeing right now, like here in El Paso, okay, like I don't know if it's all in my head or what's going on, but I swear to you, bro, there's like a freeze. It's weird. People are different. I don't know if I'm just real intuitive, but I'm seeing it different in the border town. I don't know how long you've been since you've been here, Victor, but I've noticed this, especially now with this wartime thing. I'm like, dude, can there be less traffic? Am I really seeing this right now?
No, you know what they've been telling me. By the way, Chingo, I want to come to your show because I'm going to be in El Paso on those days. So I'll come see you too, man. I'd love to come see you. They're telling me that the construction side, I have friends and family members in the construction business, and they're all gone, right? But this is the problem. It says the U.S. citizens are gone.
But what does this do for the economy?
They have it. Well, because if they have a warrant out for their arrest for tickets or whatever, now they're not showing up to work because they think that if ICE shows up, they're going to take them too. And so there's a ripple effect of that type. That they got something going on different of immigration. And, you know, in the construction world, you have a lot of these people maybe on parole or probation or whatever. And so it affects the industry. And so they're literally having a problem bringing in the workers, man. So I think that in the long run, and I kind of foresee Trump doing something about that towards the end. You'll see. He's going to do something. Trump is not this vicious, hate everybody person. He's going to do something, I think, fair for that person that we do want in the United States legally, has been vetted, and wants to come and do a better life and do it right. That's why they're giving you the chance right now. Think about what's happening. They're giving you the chance. Leave. So when whatever policy we implement, whatever kind of, I'm not talking about amnesty. I'm talking about a special provision, maybe for a worker, for a construction worker, for the agricultural worker, right? We used to do it before. Now to me, it's about vetting. It's about knowing who is coming into the country for the right reasons, not because they're a terrorist or because of the destruction of America. We want to weed those people out. And once we do most of those out, then something will happen. I think something will happen like that right before Trump leaves office.
Okay, I have a question. I've been wondering this. Let's say a cop pulls you over. Let's say a police officer pulls over an illegal immigrant, and he pulls that person over, and he finds out he's an illegal. What does he have to ask certain questions now when he pulls someone over? Is there a new line of questions he has to ask? And
not in Houston.
And if that person is illegal, does he by law have to take that person in?
It all depends on the jurisdiction of that. El Paso Police Department is not going to do that.
No way.
The Sheriff's Department is not going to do that. A DPS trooper does have the authority right now, given to them not only by the state of Texas, by the federal government. They also have been deputized. And if you've heard of it, the program, the 287G program, 287G is a section of the Immigration and Nationality Act that gives the state and locals the immigration authority to do exactly what you just said, Nino. So, because they're out on patrol every day, they encounter the DUIs and all this, and they could then determine, listen, it doesn't take a lot to determine that this person is undocumented or not. Language barriers, no license, no insurance, all these indicators, right? It could be also language barrier. It could be an American, it could be a U.S. citizen. That's true. But that's now they have the authority to question. And a lot of people think, hey, they detained a U.S. citizen. U.S. citizens get detained in this country every single day, and then it's investigated and then they're released. The same thing here. There was one when that happened in I think up in Boston when this whole thing started a couple of months ago, and it happened to be a Puerto Rican guy, American veteran, and everybody went crazy. oh my God, they detained an American. No, he didn't. All he did was question the American veteran, and the guy says, I'm a U.S. citizen, I'm a veteran, and that's it. But they did question him, just like they questioned the others there. So that's what the DPS troopers here in Texas and other jurisdictions. I talked to some like in Mississippi. There's a lot of police officers and police departments and sheriffs that are participating and are helping Tom Homan and the others. But there's many in Harris County. Dallas County is not doing it. They already came out and said they're not doing it. Denver's not doing it. Almost all of Colorado's not doing it. And so what do you think is going to happen? They're going to get an influx of all of these people going to their city. And what's going to happen? Crime's going to go up. Unemployment's going to go. All the bad things are going to happen there. But they don't seem to understand the repercussions of that, man.
I haven't seen a raid or anything and I'm in El Paso. I haven't seen a raid, or I've heard of like military being in an apartment complex and police there, but I haven't seen anything with my own eyes. So I don't know how they're doing this. I don't know if Chingo's seen it, but I haven't seen it. Are they daily just going in, kicking doors down, like doing this? Like I haven't seen anything.
They're every day they're picking them up, man. Every day they're picking some up in Arizona today. They happen to be there because the Southern. It was actually in El Paso the last couple of years. The Southern Border Security Expo is actually in Phoenix, and so Tom Homan and Secretary Noem were already in Phoenix, so they went out and did raids with the. Of course, a lot of it is media and they're showing, but nevertheless, they're picking up people, man, and they're picking up people. Dallas, I'll tell you, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area where I'm at, a lot of activity, but there's not media in every single arrest. Just like when I was working, the media just wasn't around, but it didn't mean that we weren't doing it. And so I think people now got used to every time and it gets arrested, there's got to be footage of it. No, they're not going to. As a matter of fact, there's going to be less and less footage of it as this becomes normal. Remember, deported 3 million people, and nobody said a word.
How many is Trump deported right now?
I think they're like maybe over 100,000.
That's it.
Rookie numbers.
Those are big rookie numbers.
And because they're fighting with all the judges and the mayors and the sanctuary cities, and not just that, the policies. A lot of people think, well, just pick them up and remove them. No, believe it or not, there's the bureaucracy and the paperwork behind processing the person out of the country is crazy. It's not the same like it was here. They have created so much red tape for the protection of the illegal that right now you have to go through. Oh my God, that's why they need detention.
It's lawfare, bro. It's lawfare. With lawfare, that's
and so I think Trump is going to remove some of that bureaucracy and try to use different acts and different type of measurements to measures to get rid of these people, because it depends how you came in, where you came in. Oh my God, it's all these things. It's very difficult, and I understand most of it. It still gets very confusing.
So, Chingo, when's your next act? It's going to be here in El Paso, Texas. April what again?
24th through the 26th at the comic strip. Of course, you're on guest list, and make sure you add Victor to the guest list.
You got to add him.
Okay, 2 separate guest lists.
So yeah, and what if there's a raid?
Awesome.
What if they decide to raid Chingo's comedy act? Oh my God!
Hey, man. Plot twist. All right, guys. Before we get started, couple rules. Get your paperwork out.
Oh man!
Hey, but that PR about the Puerto Rican, they jumped on that, and I was getting attacked in the comments. They're like, "Did you vote for this? They're coming after you next. You pinche sellout." Da, da, da.
If you're a U.S. citizen, I tell people, if you're a U.S. citizen, you have nothing to worry about. If you're a Hispanic, naturalized U.S. citizen like my parents, you have nothing to worry about. Nobody cares about you. That's not what this is about.
All right, one last question for both of you guys, and I'll go to Chingo first. Chingo, are you going to be doing any acts in Mexico, or are you just like, I'm staying out of there?
You know what?
It should be a travel advisory, right? I'm just saying. I think it's kind of a hot danger zone right now. But
we're gonna wait for things to calm down. I have tried comedy in Spanish in Mexico, and the survey says I wasn't ready. So I'm gonna stay domestic, English speaking only. Thank you very much.
What about you, Victor? Is that do you recommend people, Americans, going down to vacation in Cancun or Tulum, or are you saying sit this one out for a while? Or
right now, Mira, I'm gonna tell you. My daughter just came back from Monterrey last week, and it was a school thing. She had to go for her business school, and I was like, chinga. But I had a lot of friends, and I did all these, and they're like, "It's gonna be fine, man. She's gonna be fine with this and that." And this is the thing about Mexico. And I think you understand what I'm gonna say here, Chingo. You're like, it's okay until the fucking bullets start flying, right? And you're caught. You're there with your margarita. You have no. You're an innocent person. Nobody's targeting you. Nobody wants to kill you. But you're in the wrong place at the right time. And that's the risk of Mexico, is that the cartels don't care, man. They'll spray in the zone in Cancun, in Tulum, in Zacatecas.
Does it not get any media attention?
Yeah, sometimes it does. I mean,
I have my buddy, my barber, went down there and he saw someone. They walked in and shot 2 people at a club he was at in Tulum, and I was like, wow, I never even heard about it.
And they just massacred this weekend like 8 people at a party or something, like massacred. Now, if you have that in the United States, it makes worldwide news as a mass shooting, and we're the worst of the worst. But it happens almost every day in Mexico. There are mass shootings there every single day, and it's because of the cartels who are fully armed. There's no Second Amendment in Mexico, but they get protected, and they're walking around open carry, bro, like Texas style, And the impunity, it's really, really bad. But I'm telling you, Trump, something's going to happen, man. That clash. Noam went to Mexico, a week and a half ago, and she met with 𝗫𝗵𝗃. They met behind closed doors after they had that public meeting. I don't know. They're not really releasing a lot of details. She said that they had to do something more on their southern border of Guatemala. That's all about it, I heard. But I think she went in there, Noam, and said, "Listen, you better shape up, man, or we're gonna do something. We're gonna have some sanctions."
Could we be sending troops to Mexico to fight the cartels, or is that just that'll never happen?
No, I don't say that never happened. I think that's definitely on the table, man. And Mexico knows it. And as much as they say we're a sovereign country, we're never going to allow the United States to come here and blah blah blah. You don't give a shit. You're killing 300 Americans a day with fentanyl poisoning. How is that? 300 a day, bro. I mean, this is intolerable. And China has their hand in it. And all these people have their hand in it. I just did a hit about Venezuela and Cartel de los Soles and Hezbollah and Iran and Cuba. Those are all Mexico's friends, by the way. Imagine your friend, your neighbor is friends with all the bad people. Hey, I don't want to be, right? You want to distance yourself from them. At one point, you're going to be like, well, shit, I know they're my neighbor, but dang, I don't want them. I don't want to associate with them because then that associates me with the rest of the bad world. And that's how you have to see Mexico right now, because their best friend is Venezuela and Cuba, and they're all communist. Nicaragua, my goodness, Nicaragua's out of control, bro. And so military is on the table. I think right now it's all about gathering the intel. I think that's what it's about first. And then you know how the military works. They have to gather the intel first to see if they're going to act on it and what they're going to decide. But here's where we now have the advantage that we are going to get the intel above the cartel, because the cartel has always had the intel way ahead of us.
Wow. Well, guys, Victor, I appreciate you coming on. Chingo, I won't take any more time. Thank you for coming on, man. I'll definitely be out there to see you, Victor.
I'll see you guys in El Paso, man. Love to see you in person.
Awesome, man. Yeah, absolutely. So I can't wait for that. Thanks, guys, for joining me and signing out. Alex, where are you at, Alex?
Here
you are. Thanks for everything, Alex, man. I appreciate you, the man behind the curtain. All right, gracias, cabrones. Later,
guys. Peace.